You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos Country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Well, hello there, Broncos Country, and welcome in for another episode of Building the Broncos. Nick, I do have to say I did find my hat. And then my daughter hit it again. She thinks it's a great, fun game. So I don't know if I'll ever get to wear it on the show again. We will find out.
That's
so
okay.
I continue with my hair going.
My hair is a travesty right now.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. I still have not gotten a haircut since everything began. So it's been since probably the end of February, and it's just growing out right now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Chia pet style going on.
I haven't got a haircut either, and I went to the pool today.
Oh, wow.
Didn't have a chance to take a shower before the show, so this is like my chlorine hair going. But it's been a couple hours getting the nice tan going.
That's good. Man, I've been getting a tan because I've been taking the dog out to the bathroom every hour. So just outside, but it's been good. But no sleep, man. So
you named it Summit.
Summit, yep.
Okay. I told my wife I figured it was probably because of your joy of climbing mountains.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Just wanted to make sure I had that right. But it took a second. I kept saying it. I said, they like to climb mountains. What does Summit have to do with mountains? Like, really? Just took her a second. Yeah, she was off in La La Land. But no, excited to talk some football with you, man. As always, here for our Tuesday get together. And we got an interesting one here today, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a snake draft, going through the most important players on the Broncos minus Drew Lock. Because, I mean, Drew Lock, it doesn't matter if he's the best player on the team, quarterback's always going to be number one.
And whoever picks second gets Jeff Driscoll, and the first person gets Drew Lock. So, yeah. So, I don't know if you guys are paying attention. ESPN recently just did a complete redraft of the entire league. They did 4 rounds, and they did it where it was trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 seasons. So what we're doing instead is we are looking at the Broncos roster, only drafting from that right now. No quarterback, no also parameters in regards to you need a quarterback, 1 offensive player, 1 defensive player, and 1 flex. You know, we can go either way. It depends on how the board falls, I guess. But It's a good way to discuss the value of the Broncos right now, and also the building blocks. So obviously, like, there's players like, I guess we'll save it, but there are some players who are older that are still good, that still bring some value, versus some players who are younger that have more potential. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how we break those guys down.
Right.
So I see Darian already coming in here giving me a hard time for my Hawkeye fandom. I thought about wearing an Iowa shirt for you today, Darian. I got my Temple Bar shirt from Ireland. But 13.5 minutes, I honestly set a timer, but because of the topic, I said as soon as I saw this, I'm like 13.5 minutes, I can do it. But because of the topic, I don't know if I can do it because obviously there are a couple. Yep, exactly. Noah fan. So we will see. Also, we see Pickle Nick in here. How you doing? Hey guys, how you doing? Miller Champ coming in, just chilling in the backyard, waiting for the show to start. Good to see you, Miller. Bawana Beast, obviously here as well. Charlie Beagle, Eddie Vasquez, Taylor Vamp. We got a lot of good names in here going on right now. Jody Moncrief, how you doing? Bull still sucks, and Draymond Jones is going to have 8 sacks. Well, I really like that last one. And Albert and Michelle Knopper's coming in here. There we go. So I guess I'll leave it to you, Carl, for the intro here, but then we'll get going on this draft.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Well, I want to make sure before we get going here that you can find us on Twitter. You can find me at Carl Dumler MHH and Nick at Nick Kendell MHH. You can follow the podcast Twitter account at BTB Football Pod. Make sure you subscribe to our show wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a rating. Also, don't miss all of the great off-season content that's going on at milehighhuddle.com right now, especially if it's part of the Maven Coalition and Sports Illustrated. And know that our podcast is powered by Overtime Media.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
I did want to say, talking about the redraft. So I've been doing one. If you've been following me on Twitter, I've had the Tennessee Titans. And we are, I think, 22 rounds in now. So we wanted to get the entire offense, entire defense, and special teams Now, talk about trying to figure out how to go about that kind of draft. It's not always about taking best player available, but actually taking, okay, what position is going to disappear in the next 3 rounds that you need to take now before it gets too crazy. It's been kind of a fun little thing. I finally took running back in round 23.
What?
And I got Sony Michel.
Not bad.
Yeah, really.
I mean, the Patriots took him in the first round.
Right.
Idiots. I mean, for as much credit as Bill Belichick gets, going running back in the first round. Honestly, every skill position, I feel like Bill Belichick goes in the first round tends to bust. So you have Sony Michel and N'Keal Harry. Both did not look very good.
Right.
So we'll definitely see there. We got Stu McPeak coming in. Hi, all. Thank you very much. Good to see you, Stu. And also we see Jody coming in. Man, that means that I got to already lose Darian's over and under. But Iowa strength and conditioning coach Chris Doyle was moved on from the team. They had a mutual moving on to the settlement because of racial comments and toxicity, I guess. There was also some comments in regards to players' intelligence levels. So, I mean, that's where we are right now. So I don't want to go too far in the weeds there. Not the Iowa podcast. I'm really glad I don't have to be talking about that because no matter what, you're going to irritate somebody. But bringing it back to the Broncos now. Carl, do you have – so, guys, we talked about this earlier. We were going to do it, and we're like, it's time to go. It says time to go right now. Shoot, we don't have a single coin. So Carl found a penny.
Yeah.
So we're Scout's honor. Carl's a pastor, a preacher, a reverend. There's probably a specific term there for you. I don't know how that works with the denominations, but he's got Scout's honor either way. So do you want to call it or do you want me to call it?
All right. Well, I figure heads I win, tails you lose.
Oh, that's
yeah.
I'm not your daughter. I'm going to figure this one out.
All right, fine. All right. How about we do heads I get first pick, tails you get first pick.
Okay, that sounds good. How about whoever wins gets to choose?
Okay, that's true. You might want that second and third pick.
Exactly.
All right, here we go.
Mark Langley coming in first real quick. 199. Good to see you, Mark.
And it is heads.
So which one was that?
That was me.
Do you want the first pick?
I get to pick. I'll actually go second pick.
Okay. All right. Well, the first one here, I was really hoping. I have 2 guys here that I had about the exact same level. So I wasn't sure which way to go. So the first overall pick in this Broncos redraft here, again, if you're just joining us, we're drafting and trying to win a championship in the next 5 years, not adding a quarterback, 5 rounds. So I'm going first. Carl, I'm going to go with Justin Simmons. I know he's a little bit older. I believe he's 26 right now, about to get paid, but he's been extremely healthy. He's gotten better every single season. And not only am I getting a player that is versatile in the back end, a guy who can create turnovers, but I'm getting a leader on and off the field. So I'm not worried about the long-term injuries with him. I know that safety doesn't have the best positional value compared to like edge rusher, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, but Simmons is as safe as it gets. And the biggest difference maker for me is that he does not have a concerning injury history. So that's the differentiator for me. I'm going with Justin Simmons to kick off here with the first overall pick in the Denver Broncos redraft here.
Okay. Well, he was number 2 on my list.
Okay. I had him number 2, but the injury flipped it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I got to go Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
I mean, just the positional value. You got quarterback, you got pass rusher. That's exactly how it goes. And when I was doing my redraft with the Titans, that was my thought was, who affects the pass game and then on the defense and who makes plays on the offense in the pass game. Those were the first players that I went for. And Bradley Chubb, he could easily become a top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. I mean, his rookie season was off the charts. He's known for his leadership on and off the field. Sounds like he has really nailed this offseason, just working out, getting everything ready for this upcoming year. And so it's just hard for me, especially at his age. I mean, we're talking about the next 5 years. This guy's going to be going into his prime.
Yeah.
And so it's just hard not to have him top of my list.
I went back and forth, but the biggest differentiator for me was that Bradley Chubb has had 2 ACL injuries on the same knee. And as a power pass rusher, that scares me. So I had Chubb number 1. Actually, I won't lie to you. I went and talked with Eric for a little bit, some outside source, just kind of like vetting with him. And he convinced me because of the injury history that Justin Simmons was the safer bet. Because the 2 injuries on that same ACL for a pass rusher, if he has a third one, I mean, you could be in a world of hurt. So Bradley Chubb's a good get. I really wanted the second and third pick. because I would have been happy with Justin Simmons or Bradley Chubb. In a non-Broncos redraft, although you have the third pick here, I don't want to give you anything. In a non-Broncos redraft, it's like the whole league, there actually might be another player in the Broncos that I'd have before him. But just because how the depth is on some of these positions, I think those two going 1 and 2 makes the most sense.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to get in this after our first round. Terry Randall coming in with the hashtag Nick's Beer Fund.
I actually have a drink here. It's not beer. It's red, though, and it would rhyme with Schmodka Schmanberry. So, hopefully we get okay with that. Yeah. But it's been good. Yeah, I need it. I'm not getting any sleep with this gosh darn puppy. So it's not too bad. So, all right, guys, it's your pick again, Carl. So Bradley Chubb. It says Justin Simmons and Bradley Chubb are off the boards.
Okay. So I went back and forth of obviously the Broncos' great veteran that they have on the team that's been the star of everything that they've done. But again, we're talking about for 5 years and trying to figure out where this team's going to be going. And so I went with Courtland Sutton.
And talk about it. Let's hear your Mel Kiper.
Okay. Well, the big thing is Courtland Sutton is one of those few wide receivers in the NFL that it doesn't matter what quarterback he has, he's going to produce. I mean, this last year he had 3 quarterbacks and still put up over 1,000 yards and was one of the top playmakers in all of football. And and this was with no other player taking pressure off of him. And that's what he was able to do on the field. And again, he's a guy that's just entering his prime. He hasn't had the injuries that a Bradley Chubb has. And so it's just a very safe bet that over the next 5 years, this guy's going to be a star in the league.
Well, that's, again, I really wanted to pick second because I would have been happy with Simmons or Chubb, and then I would have gone Courtland Sutton. So That's a great pick. I got no issue with it. The first 3 guys off the board are the ones that I would have had as well. And I think we can agree that outside of Drew Lock, given positional value and everything, the main 3 long-term building blocks of this Broncos team right now would be, granted based on what we've seen, would be Sutton, Simmons, and Chubb. Now, obviously, this rookie class coming in could be interesting. There are some other guys in last year's class that we can still talk about, but I think we nailed it with these first 3. I think these are the ones that we've seen more of sample size and also the draft pedigree with Chubb being 5th overall, that these would be the building blocks, at least the alpha ones. So we got Paul coming in here. Paul, big fan of the pup dog, Summit. So great pod, hashtag free Summit. Summit does not like his kennel. So, he's gosh, man, living in an apartment with a dog is not ideal, but that's okay. And hashtag Nick's Energy Fund. Oh, my gosh, I wish it was that easy. But appreciate you, Zach and Paul coming in. So now it's my pick. I have the 4th and 5th pick. Gosh, man, this is much harder. I don't know how the NFL teams actually do it with all these good players sitting there staring at you in the face. I think I'm going to have to go trust my board here. I don't know if this is going to be the best considering the players that you took already. This might be good for you. But first, I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. I know he hasn't played a snap yet, but I think he's exceptionally young still. I believe he's just 21 years old. The route running that he brings is incredible. And I think wide receiver in today's NFL, there are a lot of good ones, but that positional value is moving up and up and up. So I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy here. I know you already took Courtland Sutton. He's the wide receiver 1, but it wouldn't be surprising at all if Jerry Judy's right there on his heels this season. So I'm betting on the upside, 15th overall pick, Jerry Jeudy with the 4th pick there. And then, sorry, I'm trying to keep track of everybody I picked as well. The next one, back-to-back first-rounders, guys. I'm going to go Noah Fant. I know that Noah Fant's also a guy who hasn't shown the most yet, but that athletic upside he has is incredible. We've preached on here multiple times. What's key? What's the most important thing? Well, not the most important thing, but what's one of the most important things in today's NFL offenses besides scoring points?
Versatility.
I was going to say creating explosive plays.
Okay.
Jump yards, explosiveness on offense. It's something that Vic Fangio talked about multiple times, something that John always talked about multiple times. It's so hard to meticulously move the football down the field. I mean, if you have to continuously do 14, 15-play drives and you pewter out at the end, you're screwed. So if you can put the ball out from 40 yards out, et cetera, that's great. So getting explosive weapons, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, quarterback be damned. I mean, you're going to have some explosive plays just off simple throws. So I'm going to go with those 2 guys, and you are back on the clock now. And I'm going to keep it down on these notes here. So you took Chubb and Sutton, and I just took Jeudy and Fant. And now you're on the clock again with back-to-back.
Yeah. So I just want to say our first 5, all the same. And in the exact order, I mean, you did take Simmons first, but you did say he was second on your actual list.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
I don't know if you can see that. I have actually Bradley Chubb. Oh, don't look too high, but Bradley Chubb was my number one.
Yeah.
So that's for the chat. That's for you guys. So before we get to your pick here, let's get to the chat. We have James Campbell coming in. Doesn't have the same ring and Nick's Energy Fund. You are correct with that. We got Terry Randall in the house, obviously. Good to see him. Oh, Duke coming in. Duke Boynton. Hopefully I said that correctly. The Cowboy. Denver SB Super Bowl 50 champs versus KC Super Bowl 54 champs. An AFC championship game. Who wins? Oh, my gosh.
Here's what I'll say. If the Chiefs keep doing what they were doing in the playoffs of giving up early leads like they did, kind of like what the Patriots did with the Broncos where they let Broncos score 14 points early in that AFC championship game, I don't think that defense lets them come back as much as some of these other teams did. Just the exposed that's tough because you can't cover the Chiefs players one-on-one man coverage like you'd want to. And that's exactly what the Chiefs could expose.
Mm-hmm. I think the Chiefs' defense last year was better than the Broncos' offense in Super Bowl 50.
Yeah.
And I think Patrick Mahomes would have been the best player on the field, even though Von Miller was incredible in that Super Bowl 50 run. Edge rusher, second most important position on the field. Quarterbacks, like double everything else. Like they could pay Patrick Mahomes half the salary cap, and they'd still probably be underpaying him relative to what he brings back. So probably if they played 100 times, the Chiefs would win 60 of them. But because of the Broncos defense, if they could get an early lead like they did in the Super Bowl, they went against that 15-1 Carolina Panthers team, or 17-1, I guess at that point. Broncos got that points early. They got the strip sack for a touchdown. Then they could control the game. And again, that's a game where they could have played 100 times. It could have been 50-50. Honestly, but the way the game flowed, it worked out perfectly for the Broncos. So I have to lean Kansas City. That kills me to say. I honestly think that the Broncos 2012 team was better than their 2015 team. If those two teams played against each other, I'm taking the 2012 team. Even though they didn't win the Super Bowl. Playoffs are a crapshoot, guys. What can I say? But that's a really tough question, Duke. I love it, though. Really, really good to have good thought-provoking questions coming on. I've never thought of that one. Carl looks like a professor coming from Mark Langley. Well, he is the studious type, Carl. That's right. However, you when you went to your college, you like to hang out in the A-hole, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I did. Oh man, I still can't believe he didn't know that.
That upset me.
That me too.
So I guess you should share real quick.
Okay. I went to Manhattan Christian College, which is in Manhattan, Kansas, and they had what was called Manhattan Hill, which was they had like the kind of like the Los Angeles or Hollywood letters that they would have. They had Manhattan written out, and so the joke was to go hang out in the A-hole of the letter A, and so you could say like I went up there and a friend kicked me while I was hanging out in the A-hole, so he kicked me in the A-hole. That just weird jokes like that. That's what we would do. And Dalton Reisner came on the show since he went to K-State. And I said, hey, did you hang out in the A-hole? And he's like, what the heck are you talking about, man? I thought he was going to hang up on us. But, he had never heard of that before. So I was a little shocked.
Yeah, so the chat is actually really divisive right now in regards to our Kansas City versus the Broncos takes. Obviously, this is the Broncos podcast. I think it could go either way. I just think because Kansas City has that explosiveness on offense and a little solid, better defense, James Campbell coming in with great points, all about explosive plays, and then also saying that the more interesting matchup is the Kansas City defense versus the Broncos offense. But, again, the Broncos in the playoffs, they did a great job getting a lead, and then they could control the pace of the game. So if they can do that, they could have beat anybody. But it's just – that concerns me. What was the San Francisco game – or what was the score of the San Francisco game when KC came roaring back in the Super Bowl? Wasn't it like 28-10?
20-10, I think.
20-10? Okay. Well,
I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
Chat and get back to us if you know what that is. But either way, very concerning. So anyway, Carl, back on the clock here. We'll run through it. Okay. I took Simmons. You then took Chubb. You then took Sutton. I then took Judy, and then I took Fant. So Carl on the clock here, back to back.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take Von Miller here. I'm gonna take the veteran.
We're literally following my big board right now. I was worried about this. We're in too much of an echo chamber talking about this stuff where we're going to have the exact same order. So
okay. Well, I'll be honest. When I was thinking of this, I left Von Miller off my list.
Okay.
So I actually put him on here late just because he's just too good. And even though he's at the back end of his career, he is a leader in the locker room. I mean, obviously great for the community and still an explosive playmaker. You add him and Bradley Chubb as the two edge guys coming off. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not stopping that. That's going to be tops in the NFL this next year.
I'm upset. I'm upset because you took both edge rushers. So I honestly thought about Miller there at the next one, but because you already took Chubb, I gambled and I lost. So anyway, you're back on the clock. I'm just
okay. Well, and I'm going to keep adding to the pass rush and go Draymond Jones.
Wow. Okay, so Draymond Jones coming in here at what is that? The 7th pick?
Yep.
So, okay, tell me why Draymond Jones. I mean, we have not seen that much from him. I do like the flashes a lot, and you're talking about the next 5 seasons. I honestly think that Draymond Jones has a really good chance to displace Shelby Harris this year as the second most impactful interior pass rusher, interior defensive lineman this season. But Draymond Jones here, I do have him in my top 10. I won't lie to you, but not here. This is where we differentiate.
Okay. I did want to say, reading some of these comments are pretty funny. Real quick before I get to I thought Carl was the furthest thing from an a-hole, but apparently he's much closer than I expected. Yeah. It's probably true. But no, Draymond, this is my one big risk player. Guy that hasn't proven it yet on the field, but I just feel like has that ability to really explode. And again, when I've got I wasn't going to do this one unless I got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. Because you put Draymond Jones in the middle one-on-one, he's going to win.
Yeah.
And just being able to win in the trenches that way, to get pressure up the middle is just such a huge thing in today's NFL. When quarterbacks are getting rid of the football so fast, sometimes it can eliminate those edge rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, the best quarterbacks can. And talking about the AFC Championship game against the Patriots, part of why Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware could be so successful was Malik Jackson and Derek Wolfe were getting pressure up the middle. Like there was no pocket to step into. And so having a guy like Draymond that can actually get that early pressure, it's hard for me not to take a chance here. Yeah. You took all of my weapons on offense. You kind of, well, I mean, I guess there's one other one out there. I'm not sure you would go, oh man, dang it. We'll see about that. But so you've got your offensive weapons. I've got the defensive weapons. Let's see who wins this.
So now I have back-to-back picks here to round out. So it's only 5. So you only have one more pick left.
Yep.
Correct? Yep. So my next 2 picks, I'm going to go with KJ Hamler. Obviously, again, another rookie. But you're taking all the defensive pass rushers. I'm going to take the weapons. You got the best one in Sutton. I hear you. But Judy, Hamler, and Fant, for whoever's quarterback for this team, I feel pretty good that they can get the ball out. And am I about to go? No, I took Simmons on defense. I'm going to go with another offensive player here, though. One that's the less positional value, but again, I'm going that leadership route. Elway, the Broncos have really turned it around these past few years, and I think getting a guy that can be this stable and solidify this unit a little bit, at least get a solid player there. I'm going to take the guy that we interviewed when you talked about the a-hole, Dalton Reisner here for the 5th pick. So you're the last one on the board now. I probably took guys that you were both considering there.
Yep.
But that's okay. So, and yes, guys, I'm sorry. Melvin Gordon didn't make my board. Philip Lindsay didn't make my board. Bill coming in here. # running backs don't matter. They do matter. It's just I don't think they matter enough where you're going to take them in this situation. So Did you see, actually, just off topic here, kind of on topic, but off topic, that ESPN redraft? Did you see what the Chiefs guy did?
What did he do?
He took 2 running backs.
Oh, yeah, that's
Out
right.
of his 4 picks, he took 2 running backs.
Was it Alvin Kamara?
And Dalvin Cook.
That's right. Okay.
I would take Dalvin Cook over Alvin Kamara right now.
Yeah.
Just because Kamara's injury last year, he's completely dropped off. But that's another debate entirely.
Right. And, I mean, obviously even the Vikings are struggling to figure out whether they should even pay Dalvin Cook, even though he's great.
Don't do it. Trade him. I'd just trade him. Although they have a window to win right now with Kirk Cousins in the defense. But, man, I just don't believe in paying running backs big money unless you can get them for a short-term deal.
Yeah.
I'm just adding that caveat because that's what the Broncos did. So Lindsey matters to me. He matters to me too. It's just how much, the running back again. So, Carl, the last pick here, Oh, no. Yeah, coming in. How is Lizzie has been drafted yet?
I'm not going to go to peer pressure. I'm not falling for it. I'm going to go AJ Boye here. Get my secondary.
Okay.
He's 28, so he's still got plenty of gas in the tank. I mean, he's not a spring chicken, but he's not heading to the slaughterhouse either here. And so he's a good enough player. He's proven to me last year was a little bit of a down year, but the entire Jaguars organization was down. I mean, that was just a mess what they were doing there. And so I expect, especially in a Vic Fangio ran defense, this guy is going to be a pretty darn good cornerback for him. So pretty much I was just like, I have Sutton for my offense, and then I'm just going complete defense, man. I'm going to have Sutton go and run down the field in that triple coverage and catch everything that's thrown to him, and then defense just get after that quarterback.
Wow. So, well, we have our teams here. Carl, I have you for your big board. Did every single one of your players get picked out of your top 10? Okay, that's another good discussion here. We can go over our teams here real quick. I have one guy on my board here, and I tried to emphasize youth a little bit, but also guys who are still going to be in their peak the next 5 years. 9 of my 10 guys in my Broncos big board were drafted. The one that was not taken, I have him at 9 overall, Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
I have Glasgow there. I know, again, guard's not as important, but the Broncos paid him big money, and he's going to be solid, and I think he's only 27 years old, if I remember. He might even be only 26. So there's still a good window there with him being really solid. Again, he's an interior offensive lineman. I wish the Broncos had a young offensive tackle that we could have gone with here that I trust. Juwan James is actually younger than Garrett Bowles, which is absolutely preposterous, but that's a whole different thing to discuss. But who was your one player that made it your big board that did not get drafted?
Alexander Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I had him on here. I took him off for Draymond Jones because Alexander Johnson is about to be 29 years old this year.
Yeah, he is older for sure, but I mean, he has less wear and tear against his body because he's only been in the league for a couple of years here.
Yeah.
And so I still feel like he's a good enough player. And if you have a coach that knows how to use his talents, that's huge. And I think the Broncos, I mean, I'm assuming that we're using the Broncos coaches with these players.
Yeah.
And so, I think Vic Fangio is the perfect head coach for a player like him.
Yeah, that's a great point. So overall, Carl, let's run through it real quick. We can ask in the chat. We'll tweet it out afterwards. Whose team ended up being the better one, in your guys' opinion? And I also see you, James. Graham Glasgow's about to be 28 for a guard. You got plenty of years left there for him to be a high-level player. I mean, he can play until 33, 34. So, easily. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, Nick's fancy
drink fund.
Yeah, fruity drink fund. This podcast is not brought to you by Tito's. But if it were, that would be incredible. But anyway, my team, Justin Simmons went 1st overall. 4th overall, I took Jerry Jeudy. 5th overall, I took Noah Fant. Then 7th overall, I took Dalton Reisner. And then 8th overall, I took KJ Hamler. Carl, you ended up taking Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, Von Miller, Draymond Jones, and AJ Boye. So Boye did not make my list. Which of my players did not make your list? Was it Reisner?
No, Reisner made my list. No, never mind.
Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow didn't make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go, guys. Let us know which one you think. I went very offensive heavy. Obviously, that's where my heart and mind have been with the Broncos being so bad recently. But Carl's got that killer defensive line. So obviously going to be really interesting. I actually saw a question here a second ago. Here we go. Justin Stowler. So we're going to get the super chat. Guys, keep them coming. We love to hear from you. We'd love to have a good conversation. Justin Stowler, how about the 2013 Broncos versus the 2019 Chiefs? If that Broncos defense is 100% healthy, we got a game. It's first one to 100 points. But we have a game. That would be incredible to watch. That would have been one of the – if we could have had that matchup, gosh, you're talking about a game for the ages. It would have been a lot like that Cowboys-Broncos game. That's
right. But if you're talking like Champ Bailey, Chris Harris being healthy, Von Miller being healthy, like those three right there, I would give it to the Broncos. If you're talking about them being gone because by the time the Super Bowl rolled around, of course, they were all hurt – that it'd be a toss-up at that point.
Yeah.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It just really – I don't know if thank God for the 2015 Super Bowl, because if the Broncos would have gone out of that Peyton Manning 4-year stretch without a Super Bowl with how good some of those teams were,
Yeah.
I would have had probably like PTSD or something. And it just would have been, my heart would have been full of regret.
Yeah.
So that 2012 team, man, Raheem Moore, I'm still upset. I didn't have Twitter yet at that time.
Yeah.
My sister took a picture of me after that, and it was like I just lost a family member.
Who is a bigger cuss word, Raheem Moore or Josh McDaniels?
Oh, Josh McDaniels. Raheem Moore made a bad play, but Josh McDaniels is just a jackass.
Okay.
Also, he soiled the Broncos' name because he started doing that Spygate stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm upset about the Raheem Moore stuff, but no doubt at all, McDaniels. That being said, I do have a little bit of a Rascal Flatts kind of feel for him where if you don't have that McDaniels era, you don't get Von Miller, John Elway's not back, you don't have Peyton Manning, so you had to go through that bad to get to this good. At least that's what I tell myself because those years were not great.
All right, well, Duke coming in here with another super chat. Appreciate it. Do you guys have a superstitious tradition you perform prior to Broncos games? If so, what is it?
You know what? I don't really have one that I do before the Broncos games, but I have not anymore, but I had a room in my parents' house that I refused to go into because I'd gone in there like 3 times, because I couldn't watch the game. I was too nervous. And every time I'd went in there, something horrible would happen. The Broncos would lose in like a walk-off field goal or something. So when the game is happening, I am not going into that room. I'm a man of science. I just don't need to go into that room. It's not hurting anything. That room just doesn't exist when the Broncos are playing.
Yeah.
So it's stupid.
I run sprints before Broncos games. In my basement, I've got a pretty long basement. So I just run back and forth. The dogs run with me. Now the kids started running with me. And they're all kind of going, why are we doing this, Dad?
Because.
Just do it.
Is that the same bath or same basement that was filled with
sewage?
Yes.
Yep.
So got to get that clean before football season starts.
Yes.
I know that it maybe was a little bit of a metaphor for how the Broncos have been the last few seasons, but things are looking bright now. Time to get the shit out of the basement.
It is out. We are actually we got all the floor ripped up. We are tiling this weekend. So good. Out with the old, in with the new.
And here's another good question coming in here. Buona Beast. This is a question I've actually seen before, and I think the answer is decently obvious, in my opinion. But I'm curious your take here. This Broncos' current / last year's safety duo of Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons versus the Super Bowl 2015 defense of T.J. Ward and Darian Stewart. One game only. As good as that 2015 defense was, they were great because of the corner depth and the defensive line / edge rusher depth. But give me Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons all day. I don't think it's actually remotely close. Darian Stewart was a solid player, but he's kind of that Todd Davis level solid where he's not really killing you, but he's not great. And TJ Ward, good player, but there's a reason that he kind of just fell off the map pretty quickly. Good enforcer, but I think in today's NFL, even more so now, it's only 4 or 5 years ago, but in today's NFL, I worry about him with how much he'd have to play in a slot and play man coverage. So Jackson and Simmons, it's not even close for me.
Yeah, the only thing, talent-wise, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons blow them away. The only thing that you could maybe make an argument for that other group is just that leadership and that what T.J. Ward set the tone. Every player on that defense has said T.J. Ward was the guy that got them pumped before the game. Like, he didn't have to have a big hit to get everybody excited. He had everybody excited before the big hit even came.
Yeah,
they just expected that he was going to do something, and that's the only reason that you would maybe have a little bit of that argument there.
Yeah.
But, all right, we got another super chat coming in here from Bobby, and appreciate it. You guys rock. Go Broncos. Well, you rock. And I like that number 31 coming in.
She always does this. She picks like very specific numbers that are correlated with something. I think maybe it was Bradley Chubb once. I don't know, but either way, Pabby, you're a superstar. We love you. Don't go anywhere. Well, hopefully we'll see you on some Saturdays as well, but we really do appreciate it. Oh, I only see one vote in here. So far, I went in by 100%. So I like Nick's all offense today. So really do like that.
I do want to say Justin Simmons, he just started his new what would you call it? Foundation. Yeah, sorry. I was spacing on a word there. So everybody, I'd recommend you go check that out. And because he's always been a really great guy. And this is a good one. Carl, have you ever delivered a sermon in a Broncos jersey? And if so, who was it? I'm going with Talib. Yes, I have. I actually have. It was a John Elway jersey. I had to do it. The sheriff, or not the sheriff, the Duke.
Yeah.
My nickname in high school was Duke.
Okay.
And it was more about John Wayne than John Elway.
That's okay. There's only one John that's probably could take him off the mantle, and you probably just named him.
Yeah.
So I think it was like the South Park pilot where they're like, the Reverend in the church and blah, 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 and pray Jesus wept. And as we always end this, go Broncos. And they all just say go Broncos in the church service. So
no, they let me wear one. It was a Broncos Chiefs game that Sunday. And so we did big jersey Sunday for everybody. And I got to show up in mine. And you still had some of the older ladies that showed up in their Sunday best, and then everybody else in jerseys. And I looked good in my John Elway.
Were you preaching when the Tebow years were happening?
Because
I'd have just opened every single service. Like everybody's coming in. I'm just holding the Tebow pose for 30 minutes while they walk in. Somebody's playing on
I was not actually. My first year here was the 2013 season.
Not a bad year to do that. So,
yep.
Well, good. Kenneth Booker coming in. Kenneth, you changed your pick, but I still see your name. I've got the Lindsey coming in. See, Carl, they're coming for us. Do you see the Lindsey Gordon situation turning into something like Matt Flynn and Russell Wilson dilemma, where Flynn got paid, but Wilson forced his way onto the field? I think you could kind of see something like that, but quarterback is so different than anything else because you're only getting one on the field, really, unless you have a weird Taysom Hill situation. But I think there's going to be, obviously, neither of those guys are going to get the full bell cow look, but how many running backs actually get, 80+ percentage of the carries in today's NFL? It doesn't really happen. So I think that while that is a good thought, quarterback's different than running back. You're going to be able to rotate those guys through and find touches for both of them. That being said, it will be interesting to see. It would not shock me at all if Melvin Gordon, supposed to be the big guy, and Philip Lindsay, the guy who's always been discounted, comes in and takes it away. So the biggest thing is Philip Lindsay has to do better in the pass game.
Yeah.
He just has to.
It's such a big part of the Shermer offense to have the running back be a threat in the pass game. And if Philip Lindsay is not a worry, here's the issue. Philip Lindsay could be a good receiver. Any player out there could be a good receiver. His issue isn't that he doesn't have talent.
Yeah.
It's one, his hands are a little bit iffy. And two, he has very little nuance to his pass sets or his routes. When he's going for a screen, everybody knows it's a screen because he goes straight to the spot. And so everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at him go right there. Instead of just kind of doing a little pause, like I'm here to block and let me sneak behind you here. He goes, nope, I got to be right here right now. And so if he can work on that little bit of just having some nuance, it would go a long way to him being able to take Gordon and get him on the bench. But right now, Gordon is the better 3-down back.
Yeah. And I also
better pass blocker. Do what?
I think he's the better inside zone guy as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I did want to point out, Carl got the W, in my opinion, from Pickle. Appreciate that. Talon Vamp, I'll take Carl. I'm a defensive guy. Look at this.
Come on, guys. We just talked about why the Chiefs' offense was the reason they'd win, and now we got these defensive people in here. I sense some bias.
Carl's team would kill Nick's team.
Period.
Kill him.
I am upset. We're going to take this to Twitter. I'm offended. This is egregious. This is mistrial. We're taking it to Twitter. This is unfair. Kenneth, he actually asked this question on the Mile High Insiders on Saturday. We did not get to it because Luke and I got way into the weeds in our discussions about Ed Donatell's discussion or press conference. But a good question here, and I thought we definitely should get this one. Kenneth is always bringing great questions. What is the one Broncos edition that didn't pan out like you expected, and one that far exceeded expectations? I had high hopes for Vernon Davis and didn't realize how good Kareem Jackson was. I'll go first. The guy that I was really excited about that absolutely, I guess, blew chunks. I don't even know how to, but he just a total wet fart of his career. Carlos Henderson. His tape at Louisiana Tech was so much fun. The athletic talent was obvious. I mean, he looked like Deebo Samuel because he was a thick, jacked dude. And once you got the ball to him, magic happened. But apparently the dude was not, I guess his head and his heart and his, soul was not in football. Got in trouble, pulled over, and ate weed. I think he was eating weed to try to hide it, and that just did not work. Also, he's having issues in training camp with the playbook in hand, so it all just kind of dissolved for him. But I was so excited about the Carlos Henderson pick, and man, horrible pick. One that I thought, or let me see, one that exceeded expectations for me. Actually, Carl, go first. We talked about it. One that didn't pan out. I'm going to stew on this one for a second.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're going free agency wise,
did he say free agent?
Well, he went free. He went with free agents. We could do draft. I mean, obviously, draft guy that didn't pan out. Paxton Lynch is the easy choice for me. I stuck with that guy for 3 years. 3 years, and that guy let me down so bad.
You're loyal. I'll give you that.
I know. I'm stubborn, one of the two. But he just completely bombed, worse than I ever thought he could. I mean, I thought he could at least be like that below average quarterback. He wasn't even that.
Yeah.
He was like the backup of the backup of the backup. He's lucky to be in the league right now.
Is he in the league?
I
thought he was with the Steelers for a second, but I don't think he
okay.
Stuck. So he's
Wouldn't
playing
surprise me.
right now or something.
Yeah.
Playing Twitch. Hey, I'm Paxton Lynch. So whatever. The guy that exceeded my expectations, honestly, I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton. That's one that came to my head after thinking about it for a second. I liked Cortland Sutton coming out, but I felt like the big-bodied, physical, above-the-rim guys, recently in the NFL, they had not been sticking as much. The guys that were smaller, the crafty route runners, the speed, those are the guys that I felt that's the way the league is trending. I still think it's trending that way overall. But Cortland Sutton, I thought, hit or miss coming out, second-round pick. I was actually hoping for James Daniels. There he went one pick before, I think, because the Broncos were running that zone offense, and they weren't sure about McGovern at that point. I think Broncos, actually, if he was on the board, I think James Daniels might have been the pick. Blessing in disguise in hindsight. But Cortland Sutton, I mean, he's emerging. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now. And I was hoping for a high-end wide receiver too. I think he's a stud wide receiver 1. So
yeah. I'll go one that's a little bit further back. Demaryius Thomas. He was all what?
Did you want Dez?
I didn't want Dez, but I just was worried Demaryius Thomas was too much athlete, not enough. I mean, he just didn't have a whole lot of production in college. He was coming off a foot injury. He started off his rookie year injured, not getting onto the field. And even when he, like that 2011 season, obviously with Tim Tebow, it's kind of hard to really gauge how good or bad a wide receiver really is. He had the great game, obviously, against the Steelers. But I just always kind of worried, is this guy ever going to fully pan out to the level of his physical ability?
Yeah, good.
And then, of course, Peyton Manning comes in the picture and is like, okay, I'm going to turn you into a wide receiver. And Peyton Manning made him a star.
He did flash with Tebow, though.
He did. Well, and he was an athletic freak. He was.
Screen. Just get him the screen.
Right. But it's one of those, again, I just always worry about guys who are athletic freaks who don't show great football talent when you see them in college.
Well, maybe this is a topic for another time, but alarm bells go off there for me. Noah Fant. Athletic freak. Sometimes the football awareness is hit or miss.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for another time. We got great super chats coming in, but that's something to discuss. I'm really excited about Noah Fant, the space he's going to have. If you get him the ball, it's like trying to tackle a gosh darn horse. But Glenn Hauser coming in here. Love your show and insights. Thanks, guys. Nick's Beer Fund. # Carl's Poopy Basement Fund. I really do. Carl, that's a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Glenn.
And we do have one coming in from Facebook here also I wanted to get real quick. We have two, actually, from Allison Boyd. Good to see Allison. I haven't seen you around here before. How big of a loss is Harris Jr.? And then also he comes back in there. And Wolf. I think that one of them is by far a bigger loss than the other, and it's just because the moves the Broncos made. Wolf, I think they will miss him somewhat, but they brought in Jarrell Casey. They brought back Shelby Harris. They brought in McTelvin Agim. They're going to miss Wolf some. He's going to be great on the Ravens, I have no doubt. But I'm way more worried about cornerback. Way more worried about cornerback. Honestly, this is not a popular opinion, but if you had the amount of money that Chris Harris Jr. got and Melvin Gordon got, I might have rather signed Chris Harris Jr. just because getting another cornerback would have had such an impact on – I mean, imagine Boye, Callahan, Harris Jr. and then Ojemudia is the 4. I mean, I feel so much better about that. So that's just my opinion. The Harris Jr. one, I think it's not the biggest loss, but if I had to pick between the two, that's definitely the one.
Yeah. All right. Zachary's Web Design coming in here with the super chat. Who would you choose, McDaniels or Joseph? Too hard for me to choose. Joseph. Just because McDaniels, it wasn't only that he destroyed the talent on the team, it's that then, like you said earlier, he destroyed the reputation of the team too. Yeah. Joseph just destroyed the talent.
Joseph also looked like he'd like to have a good time with the Bolin, the problem Bolin child. So if I'm picking who I'm going to hang out with, McDaniels, he's known as a jerk. So probably Joseph. Also, I can make fun of him, and every time we hang out, we can have the time of our lives. So if you get that reference, you're a real one. Pabby, again, thanks so much, Duke. Hey, there you go, Carl. I might start calling you Duke. It's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I love our MHH fam. No, Pabby, we love you. So appreciate it. I also saw James Campbell say that my team was better. So
okay, well, you got another one here from Zach Bowden. Going with Nick for the Reisner pick. Great pod, guys.
Yeah. Here we go. Here's a great one. Brian Grinfield. Do you really think Justin Simmons is that much better than K-Jack? Honestly, I don't see. I've watched a lot of highlights from last 3 seasons. Thoughts? I think a lot of what Simmons does great on tape, unless you're watching the All-22, I don't know if you see it. I mean, that's the thing about safeties. Like, you see really ones that come in the box and make splashy plays like Jamal Adams or Derwin James. I mean, those guys are obvious. But then you have like the Earl Thomases, the Kevin Byards, who's probably the most underrated safety in football now that Justin Simmons is starting to get some hype. And at least maybe that's because of who I'm exposed to. But I think Simmons is the better player. But Kareem Jackson moving into that safety position, really darn good. I mean, the fact that he has that versatility, but Simmons can wear so many hats. He was incredible last year. I think he was the Broncos' highest rated player on Pro Football Focus and the highest rated safety in football last year. So, man, I think they're both really good, but Simmons has a chance to be a real one. You know, we're talking Ring of Famer.
Yeah, you're right. He does so much of his work behind the line of scrimmage of making life easier for everybody else. His ability to cover sideline to sideline, he's just so versatile as a safety as well. He's long, he's fast, he's quick, he's smart, he's disciplined. Everything you want in a safety is there. Kareem Jackson, he had a great season last year, and he definitely made the splash plays that you're looking for. I mean, I think about that goal line stand that he had. Was it against the Chargers? And I mean, that was just an amazing play. I mean, not many can make that play like he did. And his ability to come down and make plays in the run game was huge. But Simmons, like you said, he has the potential to be all-pro, Hall of Fame, just everything you'd want. So you definitely got to go with him right now. But it's not a huge difference. I mean, that's why they have one of the best safety tandems in football, because they're both great.
I mean, what other team has a better safety tandem? I mean, honestly, who has a better safety tandem than the Broncos do? I think that there are 2 teams that come to mind that you could make an argument for being on the same tier, but better. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, you have the Vikings with Harris and Smith.
Yeah.
Really good duo. And I think one that's constantly underrated that's really good is the Bills with Poyer and Hyde. Like, they are killer. Granted, some of that's the Sean McDermott defense, but for the Broncos, some of it's the Vic Fangio defense. So those are the ones that come to mind for me immediately.
Oh, here's a good one. I honestly thought Jay Cutler was going to be a stud.
Yeah, I mean, all the talent in the world. Apparently, he liked, speaking of weed eaters, Jay Cutler was a guy that enjoyed some of that. So
yeah.
And he's getting a divorce soon or something.
Yeah, because he enjoys staying at home, hanging out. Who wouldn't? If you have millions of dollars, might as well stay home.
That's true.
Terry Randall coming in with another super chat. Appreciate there, Terry. Appreciate all that you guys are doing here. This has been fun, man. And then Duke coming in with another one. Can you explain what a Shermer offense will look like? And Pabby rocks. Well, yes, she does. Okay. So we're talking about a lot of 3 wide sets, 1 tight end, 1 running back. I know there's been a lot of talk because Shermer talked about trying to get both running backs on the field, and everybody's kind of gone crazy with that. Like, oh, yeah, there we go. Now we can have Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon on the field. That makes a lot of sense why they went and got Melvin Gordon. It's not going to be a huge part of the offense. That's just not going to be it. But Pat Shurmur, the big part of his offense that you need to know, especially in the pass game, I'll talk about the pass game. You want to talk about the run game? Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Pass game, he likes the quick hit passing game. Timing where he's got a lot of guys coming across the middle or heading towards the sidelines. He wants the ball to get out of the quarterback's hands as quick as possible. And pretty much he wants the playmakers to go and make plays, which, hey, that's what the Broncos got. He didn't have that with the Giants. He didn't have playmakers that could really go make a whole lot of plays. He had Ingram at tight end who could do some of that. OBJ for a season before they traded him. But otherwise, they didn't really have as much as what the Broncos have now, or the potential, I guess, of what the Broncos have now. But it is. He wants those quick hitting passes, and then every once in a while, play action, try to hit over the top with some different playmakers, just to keep a defense honest, knowing that they could go deep. Now, he did do a lot more deep passing game last year with Daniel Jones, because that was kind of part of Daniel Jones' game. A lot of play action football with him and trying to get down the field as much as possible. So I do think you're going to see a little bit more down the field with him, where like with the Vikings, when he had Sam Bradford, that was like, boom, like ball touch Sam Bradford's hand, is out to a wide receiver. Yep. You're not going to see that as much. You're going to see Drew Lock have a little bit more time in the pocket, but it's more of timing. It's more about trying to get everybody into different spaces on the field and make a defense have to worry about every inch of the field.
Run game, I'll keep it simple because we got about 10 minutes left before we need to get out of here. A lot of inside zone. You're going to see some duo. You're going to see some traps. So I think that's one thing that'll be really fun to watch. Dalton Reisner and Graham Glasgow, those guys are going to be pulling. Yeah, so there'll be some action there, especially with the trap game, counter game there. It's also kind of – it sounds like with Shurmur, he's also going to take the advice and heed of Mike Munchak. Granted, if you have Mike Munchak, you probably should listen to kind of what he wants to do with sculpting the play design, the running scheme. So that's good. But the biggest concern I have is that Shurmur will run the inside zone through a wall. If it's not working, guess what? He's going to go back to it. I do know the Broncos are heading more to an analytics page or an analytics side of things, but I worry that Shurmur is in the camp of running to set up the play action, where there is no actual analytical support, where you don't have to run the ball effectively, let alone at all, for play action to work. There's no correlation. So that's my biggest concern.
Well, Charlie Beagle coming in here with, we got Gordon to block for Lindsey. Didn't they tell him that?
And I want to come back to this real quick. Something that I think it was Joseph Rolls, Joe Rowe on Twitter, works for MHR. He brought up a great point. It's something that I haven't gone back to the tape to chart, but I thought I noticed this on tape as well. Philip Lindsay's best usage was when the Broncos quarterback was under center. Under center quarterback usage. And also even better when they had Andy Janovich. So 21 personnel. I'm dyslexic with that one.
Yeah.
Yes, 21 personnel.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon's better or way more effective when the quarterback's in shotgun. So if you're going to have a shotgun offense, maybe that's one reason they're leading more towards Melvin Gordon. So will be something interesting to chart. Been busy with stuff that would be worth going to check, but that's something interesting to look at. Yeah.
Well, Manny Wise coming in here with a question. I like this one. Who do you think is the Broncos' most important pickup this offseason?
Wow. It's a question of 2020 versus beyond, right? Like if it's right immediately, I think adding Jarrell Casey between a healthy Bradley Chubb and Von Miller changes the dynamic completely, because they have not had a good interior pass rusher since Derek Wolfe was healthier and Malik Jackson was playing. So Jarrell Casey, you're talking about a Pro Bowl level guy, and there's trickle down too. A good leader, really good with his hands. He's going to make those guys on the team better. But long term, it's probably Jerry Jeudy. That being said, there's kind of a synergistic effect adding not only Jerry Jeudy, but then adding KJ Hamler on top of it. So I'll leave Jerry Jeudy because the first round pick, but Hamler deserves at least a mention.
Okay. I'm gonna pull a Nick here. I'm gonna go two guys combined to one. Going Cushenberry and Glasgow for the inside.
Okay.
Just making that interior offensive line one of the possibly better in the NFL. With Dalton Reisner on the left guard spot, of course, Glasgow on the other side. just having that pocket that you can step into, it makes life easier for Juwan James and Garrett Bowles. Makes life easier for Drew Lock to trust that he has a pocket to step up into. Gives them more time in the pass game to actually make plays, especially on those third down plays where teams are trying to bring some different blitzes, especially those A-gap kind of blitzes, and you've got a strong interior that can stop them. That's you had already taken mine, so I had to come up with a new one. But that would be another one that for me I thought was pretty impressive that they did of really revamping that group, going from pretty much no names. I mean, I guess Connor McGovern's not a complete no name, but he wasn't any star by any means.
Yeah.
And the right guard spot was kind of a rotating position depending who was healthy.
Why does Garrett Bowles get so much crap for the holds? Warranted, but Ronald Leary was doing the same thing, like at an equal pace. Just he was hurt, so it wasn't as many games, but the rate was the same.
So I think part of it is he started off great for the Broncos. I think that first impression really matters with fans. And so if you can come in there and look like an all-star from the very beginning and then you fall off, people are like, oh, yeah, that just happens sometimes. But if you come in and you are terrible from the beginning and then you start slowly improving, they're like, nope, you are still that same guy from the very beginning.
People have already made their minds up.
Yep.
Well, thank God for Drew Lock going 4-1 last season. Hopefully that'll give him a little bit of rope.
Yeah.
Wow, Devin, that is quite the hairdo. That caught me off guard.
Yeah. But appreciate the super chat there, Devin. And I will not forget that haircut anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see we have an interesting discussion going on in the comment section right now. Here, Brian Greenfield actually brought it up a couple of times, talking about cornerback being a concern. We've also seen Todd talking about it here, and also there's somebody else as well. Anyway, talking about Boye versus Chris Harris Jr. I think Boye is a better fit in the Fangio defense and also brings a little bit more value because he's a primarily boundary guy. But if you're playing the matchup, the man-heavy Wade Phillips scheme, Chris Harris Jr. brings a little more value. That being said, I heard this years ago, so don't quote me specifically, but not years ago, but a long time ago. I remember being on a walk around Christmas time, listening to a podcast that Chris Harris Jr. actually had one of the toughest slates of a cornerback has had in years because the Broncos cornerback talent behind him was so horrible that the amount of snaps that Chris Harris Jr. went up against the team's number one wide receiver eclipsed every single other cornerback of the last 5-10 years. Yeah. So when Chris Harris Jr. did not have the best year last year, he is definitely losing his step. Did not have much help. He really did not. So I think I know the Chargers offense is not much to be excited about, especially Tyrod Taylor. Justin Herbert's not unknown, but that defense is going to be fun, assuming that the Indian burial ground their stadium is built on doesn't ravage their whole team.
Yeah, no, you're right. I do think Boye is a better fit in what they're going to be trying to do this upcoming year. I do think they tried to play a ton of man with Chris Harris just because they were getting killed on zone with some of the other cornerbacks not doing great. Where this year, I think they're going to hope that they can play a little bit more zone and play it at a high level because that is more of the Fangio system. He likes to play that zone to man is what it's called, where you start off looking with a zone look, and then when somebody comes into your zone, you switch to man.
You know who else does this type of defense? Who else is famous for the cover 7 matchup zone?
Bill Belichick?
Nick Saban.
Okay, yeah.
They teach a little bit different of the cornerbacks play a little different technique.
Yeah.
But, that's that'll be interesting. So Terry coming in again. Guys, got to reiterate this one. Terry Randall, hit the like button, Broncos country. We do appreciate that. We'll go one step farther. Subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed the show today. We obviously try to bring you guys in the discussion, talk football, keep it lighthearted, keep it Broncos. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Obviously, this stuff is serious. We do want to take it serious, but this is a little bit of an escape from all of that, so we do appreciate that. If you guys like this sexy hat, you can go to thehuddleuppod.com to get your swag on. Be careful, though, because Carl's daughter will find it and steal it, apparently. Follow us on Twitter at BTB Football Pod. We do appreciate you guys a lot. Actually, I saw one coming in here. Duke coming in. Oh, did you click that one? Oh, my hands are off.
Yeah, sorry. We both saw it, and Duke, really appreciate these words. It means a lot to us. just to be a part of this with you guys. But saying, Carl and Nick, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for talking with us, including us in these pods. It's definitely awesome. It is. It's for us too. Like you don't understand. We talk about this off the show, how much we love doing these shows. And a big part of that is just because of you guys being a part of it.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. I mean, you guys, you're part of the chat with us. You're part of the conversation. You dictate what we're going to talk about. We come in, we have things we want to talk about. We actually didn't even really get to one of the conversations that we had today, but that's because the comment section was on fire. I mean, there was a lot of good comments today, a lot of interesting, thought-provoking ones. So we appreciate it. Oh, hopefully we have somebody saying there's lagging now. Man, Brian hates it when we talk about other teams. This is not a Chargers channel, but we're going to talk about other teams. We're going to talk about good players. So Rob coming in one more time. Apparently it's not us two. It's Todd's lagging. So Todd, get that fixed. Rob Dickinson coming in. That's a very cute pup. Has good fashion sense as well. Love the content. Guys, keep up the good work. Carl, probably time to get on out of here. So you can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Make sure you head on over to milehighhuddle.com, an affiliate of the Maven Coalition and Sports Illustrated. I just had an article come out yesterday. Bleacher Report had the Broncos supporting cast around Drew Lock ranked as the 10th best in the NFL, coming off of being the 27th best in 2019. So, gosh, what a huge step forward, even though two of the main guys haven't even taken an NFL snap yet. So a lot of potential there. Go to iTunes, guys. Leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Those mean a lot to us. I go and read them. I take those critiques, the comments to heart. Your support can help us continue to bring you these shows. Follow the Building the Broncos podcast and all our other great audio content by subscribing to Huddle Up Podcast, wherever you listen to these, but we really do like it if you can do it on YouTube as well. Follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle and at BTB Football Pod. Carl, anything you want to leave the listeners before we get on out of here?
No, just again, another fun show with everyone, and just excited just to get into some of this summer content, getting into breaking down the team. And it's kind of crazy. Training camp could be starting here in about a month. Mm-hmm. That's the summer's actually gone a little bit quicker, just with a lot of other distractions is kind of taken away from thinking about how long we've been without football, I guess you could say. But no, just appreciate everyone once again, and it's been really fun.
And I haven't seen this one yet, Carl. We're going to get out of here in a second. I actually do want to answer this one just because he came in the last second. And we're going to have some good faith here. It's a long one. Andy coming in. He looks like he's got Rich Eisen in his picture there. Nice. I'd like to know this. With the day one wide receiver starters, how are they at downfield blocking? In our heyday, the Broncos had Eddie Mack and Rod Smith. Both were great run blockers down the field. With them on the team, we won Super Bowls. What is our receiver core like in that aspect? Thank you from Andy from Kansas. Hey, Carl, your neck of the woods.
Right.
Go Broncos. Cortland Sutton is an ass kicker as a blocker down the field. Noah Fant, he's not always the best in line, but because he is so big and he's a good athlete, he can hit a moving target. So you're talking down the field, the tight end, he's good. Jerry Jeudy is okay at it sometimes. That's not really his game. He's more of a finesse player. And KJ Hamler, bless his heart, man. He's a dog. He's small. Sometimes it doesn't work out for him, but it's not for a lack of trying.
Right. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, there's sometimes it's a lack of trying. I mean, if we're going to be honest, that's not why he was going in the first round, was because of his blocking. He's more of a get in the way and hope that that's enough kind of guy. And there was a lot of run plays that were actually broken up because he didn't get his guy blocked.
Henry Ruggs was the much better blocker. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Todd, you're the one who's frozen. Nobody else is frozen in here. So, well, hopefully not. But we appreciate you guys. Love you a lot. Jerry Jeudy's footwork is porn. Good job. If he's not blocking, that's okay. But we appreciate you guys. Going to leave you, as always, with the Go Broncos. And we'll see you next Tuesday on Building the Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.